This is Minister John. Minister John, I'd like to know, actually the whole world would like to know your life testimony.
Well, it's a privilege to be here today with you, Minister Hines. It's a great place to be in the midst here in North Carolina. We have ran into one another a lot of places in New York, New Jersey, and accessories, and I know your family, and you know mine, and I'm glad God given me this opportunity to be able to communicate with you today, and you are concerned about my testimony. From the first place, we serve a God who is almighty. We serve a God who owns everything. And when we serve a God who owns everything, when we walk in the line of that, we are going to have the necessary things in life that are required to have. But on the same token, we cannot stay in that guideline if we don't believe that it's real. And so I want to rely, I want to tell you this afternoon that we serve a God, and this God is real we serve. And the things that keep me going, I was able enough to listen to someone who was interested in my well-being to talk to me, because during the days when I was coming along, every mother was your mother and every father was your father in the community. You understand? They chastise us when they see us in our mischievous behaviors, misaction. When we are in our mischievous misacting or misbehavior, God has allowed me to be able to listen and obey and carry these things with me all of my life, regardless where I go, what I'm doing, what I'm into. I still believe and I have respect for authority. This is why I'm still living today, to be able to communicate with you. Because I know, again, all of us was born in a sinful world and came short of the glory. All of us. There is none pure but the Father, which are setting high and looking low. But I just want you to know, brother, that God transformed my life. Almost all the so-called games that we have played, the things that we have participated in, the things that we have done, the money we done hollered, the materialistic wealth that we've been around, we did not let it go to our head to a point where within those that we forgot about God, because there was somebody around me all the time that kept me in line to let me know, you understand, we serve a rich God, materialistic wealth is good, all this is good, but the first thing that we need to know, he made everything and we got to stay in line with him. Now, we can have all the money in the world. We can accumulate all the money in the world, and sometimes, understand, it goes faster than we get it. But when we fall in line with God, you understand, he can bless us in a way with our materialistic wealth, where within those that we can enjoy. But sometimes it takes a long time to get to that point, and sometimes we don't never get to that point. But what I want you to know, brother, understand, me, myself, personally, there's some things I had to give up to receive the blessings of God. You understand? I had to give up working on the road with the greatest entertainers, road managing, in the arena of promoting, producing, you can name it. I was right there with a lot of great entertainers, and I traveled from city to city, state to state, and God has been good to me, because a lot of times when I was on the road, I got up early in the morning and went to church. And sometimes we didn't even get in before 3:30 or 4 in the morning. But I lied to stay in line with the word, doing all the things that I ever did in life, because I came from a family trying to lead me in the right direction, which all of us came from during the time and in our era. We came from moral, spiritual, physical families, understand? It's a little different today, you understand, in this younger generation. But on the same token, sometimes we have to go through something before we can realize that it is a God. You understand? Because if we never been through nothing, we don't have no testimony. If we never been through nothing, we can't recognize the vision. We can't recognize the revelation. You understand? And how can you live amongst a society like this unless you have some kind of guideline that God's showing you ahead of time that the dangers laying ahead for you? So I just thank God understand that through all the things that I hear in this world, you know, it was, I can't even, it would take 10 books to put my testimony in perspective, because I done been through so many things in my lifetime. And I just want to give God the credit. I honored God to the utmost. I participated in other religions, other walks of life. I met other people. In each and everything that I participated in, I tried to learn from each way of life and not to down it, to try to learn and progress from it. And I believe that somebody said in 1 Kings 3:1-9, Solomon was the greatest man on this planet in his era. He had all the materialistic wealth, and God told him that he needed something. And I asked the brother, I said, well, you tell me Solomon, all the money and the wealth he was in the possession of, and God related to him that he needed something. He said he told him that he needed something in 1 Kings 3:1-9. He told him he needed to discern to know good from bad. You understand? Now, if he related to Solomon, which was one of the greatest kings ever lived, if he relate that to him, you and I, when we read that and study that, then we're supposed to check ourselves. Regardless how much education you got, regardless how many schools you went to, when it comes time to do his will, we must humble ourselves so he can speak through us with common sense, just put with our education. Because if we got all the education and he can't apply common sense to us, we gullible for misleading so many different people. And I just thank God, understand, he blessed me in a mighty way to have a good church family, to have friends. I mean, everybody, understand, might not dress the way you want them to dress, look the way you want them to look, have what you want them to have, but all of us is God's children. All of us, you understand? And all of us, understand, fall short. All of us are sinners, you understand? And so what we here this afternoon to explain, I think somewhere in 2 Peter, he said, when you know and do not as you instruct, you like a dog turning back to his vomit. So some of us know better, but we don't want to do no better. Thank God for this opportunity to communicate with you this afternoon, Brother Hines.
Yes, and also I'd like to know the walks in life of the sins that took place in your life, how you came out of it, and the things actually that you have done.
Okay, well, the last, well, starting from childhood up to now, I would like to, it would take a whole lot of explaining to do. But the last 10 years I was out there in the entertainment world with a brother, Walk Love and the Loveettes. We traveled throughout the United States with hit records and accessories. And before I got to him, God was warning me to come in. God was warning me to come in because before then, I was with a lot of more different entertainers. You understand? Out here, famous entertainers. And the only thing I can tell you, brother, I had a vision one night, and God asked me, was I going to lose my soul for that? You understand? And I respect all great entertainers, you understand, to the utmost. I respect all the stars, but there's a time limit on all of us. There's a time for all of us to come in. And if you look at history of all the stars and all the celebrities, when it's time to come in, sometimes they be in that cycle and they be so far out there that they can't listen to their common sense. And I feel for them because I've been there and done that. Thank God I was able enough to come in out that world through him to be a blessing to somebody else who are listening this afternoon.
Okay.
Thank God.
And I would like for you to get to the heart of the matter. That when I saw you, I was 22 years old in the baby grant, and I was checking you out, but you was real slim and dressed with all, with the stuff that you had. What was you doing during that time?
Well, from the first place, my family here from North Carolina, and I came from a small real city. When I say a small real city, I'm talking about a city with a military base connected to it, which is Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Someone says the second largest military base in the world. And by coming up in that environment, I met young people from all over the world. I'm talking about from everywhere you can name. And by coming up in that environment, it was a lot of things, understand, we was doing, getting money out in the world. So when I went up to New York was just a larger city, but I already was groomed to a degree though that I could protect myself out there in the plain world. So when I was young and rolling with the rest of them old players, they had knowledge that I had knowledge of what they was doing because they was full of game. And I was up on it, and I was learning if I see something happening in a game to keep my mouth closed. So what I'm saying, they accepted me and gave me the name Cadillac because I kept beautiful cars, I kept beautiful minks, I kept diamonds and etc. But what I'm saying, they was teaching me as I went along. And so during the time that you used to see me go to Small Paradise and Baby Grants and Palms Cafe and Apollo and things, understand, that was my lifestyle, and I was enjoying it to the utmost because, as far as I'm concerned, it was the cream of the crop. You understand? Manx, Diamonds, Fleetwoods, beautiful ladies, good atmosphere, and I lived through it by listening to someone was already there. And this is when you was observing me back in those days, and thank God I made it to this point.
And my cousin had actually told me one day about you, Gregory Hines, and not knowing that at this time that you came in my life a few weeks ago, back in the life, that you knew that you didn't knew that he was my cousin, but when I told you, you was amazed.
Well, Brother Hines, it was like this. Coming up in New York, I was fortunate enough to be around the old players, and I handled money. I handled money, and I handled big money. And so I was able enough to live uptown, downtown, Shelton Towers, 48, in Lexington, down on 50th Street, Camelot Apartments, and had places, various of places, and could afford it and had the money to pay for it. So during the time the stars was hanging out on Broadway, 42nd Street was the big thing then. When the stars, understand, not on stage, and when they out partying and having fun, they go put on their blue jeans and their sneakers and put on the cap or something, and they be out on Broadway. So I just happened to meet Greg when I was young, and he was very energetic, very professional, and it was just one of those things. I never had no idea when you used to see me uptown that I was around some of his relatives. And today, it's a great pleasure to be in the midst of you, Brother Hines.